I think you forget sometimes that we are live.
Oh.
We can't be like Andrew's opens picking where we just show up 15 minutes late.
Oh, sorry. Hey, I'm right on time.
You're a minute late. It's not bad. You're not bad.
Not even a minute late. No. I was here at 10. Not my fault that you took a minute to start us up live late.
No, that's not true.
So all the fans out there, Todd started late. I was here at 10 o'clock.
Well, it's 12 here, and you were not here at 12. Anyways, doesn't matter. I like how I'm a little no, I'm not nervous about today. But I know I know you want to semi get into some stuff, and I like it.
Honestly, it's the holidays. We're gonna sit back. I'm making myself some green tea. Gonna chill, enjoy a good conversation with my good buddy Todd. And
I'm in a good mood.
Me too. I'm in a great mood.
Yeah, that's because you've been. Tell everyone what you've been doing.
I've been saltwater fishing. I've been 10 days in Mexico catching wahoo and yellowfin and bluefin tuna. Like, doesn't get much better than that.
No, that's not, I've never got, man, in all the years, like, I went out with I really haven't been that much offshore fishing, hardly at all. I go down to the coast a little bit down in Galveston and some places and does some stuff, but I've never really, and I don't, because like I enjoy, like there's certain things I enjoyed, and so there's certain things I would want to go maybe offshore, but there's certain things in the saltwater that like I look at it as fun, and I like to go do that, and I don't really know exactly. I mean, I know what it is, but it's like I know when I see it. How about that?
Right.
So if I'm watching something, I'm like, doesn't look like fun, could care less about doing that. And we went when we were with Scott, they wanted to like catch a swordfish and stuff. And there's like one rod.
Yes.
And it reels it up by itself. And I'm like,
yeah, it's 4,000 feet deep. And yeah, no.
Could care less.
What you want to look at is West Coast wahoo fishing. It's how the guys do it out of San Diego when we cast for them.
Yeah.
The East Coast, all they do is troll for them. Not so much fun. We cast for these things, and you can't reel fast enough, and your rod just stops. And to me, there's no better feeling than wahoo fishing. And on this last trip, we had 8 on the boat, and I caught 5 of the 8. So and it's the best eating fish in the world.
Really?
I made wahoo fish tacos last night, and they're just, oh my God, they're so good.
We've been eating fish tacos all week. Crappie. Yeah, my son loves them, so like we're
I love fish tacos as well. I love fish chips. I love eating fish. I love catching fish. I just love fish.
So when I go down like every summer with my family and stuff, my wife and her parents and stuff, and we always go down somewhere in Florida. And I've always just like every morning I wake up and I go down to the beach and I just like, just
watch
whatever I can catch. And man, it's always there. Some years are bad, some years are good. I got on some giant redfish one time. I've gotten on little, like I got pictures of some like monsters, like 40, 50 pounds, like got to hold them like this. Like it's pretty awesome.
Yes.
My daughter caught one, but everyone's like, and then I catch a lot of stuff like whatever this is, like something.
Yeah, whatever they are, just little.
And every once in a while, they're like, man, you're not really. I catch a bunch of ladyfish, all that stuff, and then all of a sudden, every once in a while, they're like, why do you do it? I'm like, because every once in a while, this is all I think about. As I throw out there and I reel it, it goes, go. And I'm like,
that's it. That's it right there.
Yeah, they're like, you didn't land it. I'm like, I know, but
that's the whole point.
Yes.
That's what keeps you coming back, because you always think there's going to be that one time. that you land that bite.
And I have like I said, we've landed some monster redfish that. So the first one I ever hooked, I'm out there and I had this I wait out there and stuff, and which is always interesting out there. Like, right? I mean, I've seen some pretty. There's no way I'd be alive if I lived on the coast, because I probably would have been stung, eaten, something. Because I just don't think you should do this as much as you shouldn't be waiting around out there at the early morning of light. Just too many things are going on. So,
right.
But for a couple of days a year, you're like, oh, I'll make it. But the first time I've gotten out there and I was like right up to here, because there was like this one section I could throw on, and I always got bit. And anyways, I get bit, and I have it on there for a while. And dude, it takes me, I swear to you, 300. Now, no one's usually on the beach at this in the morning time like this, right? And it takes me 300 yards down the bank, and there were some guys way on down there with their surf rods out. I made them all. They all had to reel in, because the fish. And I'm like, sorry guys, and they all reeled in, and I was like, and I walked past them 100 yards, and then it turned around and went back the other way, and they all had to reel in again. I walked past, and they were cool, and it ended up.
They're cool about it, dude. They understand. They get it. Because they're there for that same bite that they have to make their buddies reel up.
Yeah. So I ended up getting that one in and got a picture, and then my daughter. It was same deal. Like a couple years later, we were out there, and I was throwing out there. I was bombing her way out there, and I'd reel, and I'd throw it out there, and I'm like, then I just hand her the rod, and she's reeling in, and I'll never forget it. Or I think I throw out there and I reel, and then when I hook, all I do is I just bow up and hand it. So there you go.
Right.
She's reeling, and we've been catching, 7 or 8 casts in a row, same size fish. And I look down, and my wife had been down there. I was talking to her, and there was 2 other people. My wife, usually no one's down there. This was in the afternoon, because no one ever goes down there with me in the morning. A storm had come through, so everyone's off the beach for the most part swimming, right? Everyone's off. And she's reeling, and, she'd caught the same fish, right? I didn't think about it.
Right.
And after about 20 seconds, I'm talking to her, and I look down, and she's reeling. But as I look down, the reel's going. It's just and I was like, oh, I was like, stop reeling. She's like, what? I'm like, just sit there. You're good. And so she sat there, and it took off for another 30 seconds. So almost a minute of straight drag. And I'm always smart. When I go down there, I re-spool with 20-pound, and it's I don't splice it or nothing, right? And so it can go all the way. Well, she eventually gets it in after 45 minutes, and it's another 40-pounder. But by this time, it was still light enough outside, so people are walking the beach. Dude, we had 20, 30 people around watching this little girl reel this fish in. I wait out there in the water. They were surprised when it came. You know how big it's going to be? Right? No one else really does. But I'm like, my wife was like, is this thing going to be big? I'm like, yeah, watch what happens. And so when it comes up out there and everyone sees it, everyone's like, oh, yeah. And she looks at me. I'm like, yeah, I know. And so I waited out there and got it. We got a big old picture. It's a monster red.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what do you got going on?
Man, so I went fishing yesterday. And then there was the front blew through here today. I kind of want to go tomorrow. I don't know. My kid's home sick with me. And then I don't know. There's a little small tournament. Me and Russell might, or maybe I just found it that there might be one coming up this Saturday. I might get into that. Other than that, we're just kind of practicing around on Rayburn, because we went 6 months without being on Rayburn, maybe even longer. And so it's about tournament season about to start back up. So we've kind of getting back out there, seeing what it looks like. That's about it.
Yeah, that's good.
Making YouTube videos and pissing people off, apparently. No, everyone's been cool. Everyone, there's always a couple people that get
they're grumpy
feelings.
Get their feelings hurt.
Well, I think Panger went down to Mexico, and I think he's coming back. Maybe he's already back by now, but he did post something while he was down there. He was like, "Hey man, just up here in Mexico, man. Did I miss anything?" Kind of as a joke, and like everyone's like, "Nope, been pretty like quiet down here in the fishing industry."
Yeah, right.
It's weird how it can go like 2 months and like nothing, and then all of a sudden some stuff pops
Did
up.
it really go 2 months without nothing? I guess. I mean, I was still fishing everything. I was
Nothing.
still fishing TOCs. I was
October, November. What happened?
I was fishing TOCs. I had like 3 TOCs that I didn't win any of them, which is kind of
but nothing, no drama for 2 months, right?
Let me think about that.
I don't think anything went on.
There was major drama. Major.
Was
Major. It wasn't in the fishing industry though. It was the election. The election.
Yeah, that was major. yeah. You know what? I don't really think. I'll be honest with you. I don't think there was that much drama to it all.
I was at SEMA.
Like, think about it from like all the stuff that happened. Like I thought it was pretty chill this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I was at SEMA, and it was funny because the first day, nothing really was said, or it was kind of real quiet about it, and people were focused on SEMA. And I love that. And then the next day, it was a little different ballgame. People had their hats on and their shirts on, and they were walking around SEMA, and the vibe was just good. And so, but yeah, that was the only drama. You're right, for 2 months in the fishing industry, and I was fishing a lot, and it was good. And you were fishing a lot,
yeah,
and you were catching them.
Well,
and the industry was quiet, and that was nice.
It was nice, but I will say the thing, and I stand by this. I told you, me and you talked about this. Like, we have me and Ish sometimes, and not just Ish, like guys like me and you. There's a handful of guys that will call each other when something kind of goes down or something pops up about something, and we keep it pretty private, and we kind of talk about like where the industry's going and everything like that, right? And sometimes we get on here. Me and you have the same viewpoint. I'll get into this in a second, but me and you have the same viewpoint of why we get on here and talk about things, and then sometimes we don't. Sometimes we have our own conversation that lasts the exact same length as this is going to happen, and it's all private, right? And it's nothing that it's not that we're holding it back to do it privately. We just get in our own conversation, like we just want to talk about it, right? I see that a while back, I was like, man, and it started kind of this year, and the drama and the elites and everything else. So I was like, man, it seems to be that the drama is more, people are more interested in that than fishing, which me and you don't necessarily, we don't like. I don't think it's going away. I think that is going to be the norm, and I'm not saying that's a good thing.
You think the drama is going to be the norm?
I think the attention on the drama is going to be the norm. That people will be more interested in the drama than the fishing part. And
I'll quit.
Well, no, it's not going to. No. Listen. When you go fishing y'all's tournaments, is there drama?
No, not really.
No.
Sometimes, occasionally there is, but
correct. So when I go fishing all year long, there's almost no drama with anything I ever do. Right. So like, I couldn't name one single thing in drama this year where I was in a fishing tournament or there was anything publicized with any tournament for the most part. So it stayed fishing in my life, right? There wasn't drama, there was fishing. I might talk about some of this other stuff, but they let that other stuff, or I don't know if they let it, whatever it is turned into, that's more what people are interested in. And people can get on here and say, and I'm just letting y'all guys know, I doubt the people that are on this listening feel that way, in the sense of, I think they care about the drama, but they care about fishing as just as much, which I would say
Right.
we do the same thing. But I definitely think that you can't deny, if I put out a YouTube video over the most incredible, if me and you went fishing and had like
Right.
the best day in a year, as opposed to we could talk about whatever we wanted to that was drama, it would get 3 times as many views.
Right.
So that there alone tells me that that's where it is, and I can't change that, but that is the truth.
Yeah, but you're not going to catch me. I'm done. I'll be done. I'll be off in the ocean, middle of the ocean somewhere. No cell phone service. Casting for Wahoo.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm just saying, like, that's, and I agree. I think it is. I agree. I agree that it's social media. It's 100% social media. Oh, like, okay, so I got a question. I agree that it's social media, right? Social media lets us know.
Isn't that Clark? Is that Clark?
Yeah.
That's Clark. That's Clark.
Social media
We
lets
love
us
Clark.
know this goes down, right? But
Oh, we lost Todd.
no, I'm thinking.
No, I've got a host. Oh, you pop back. You froze up for a second.
I froze up, like, literally. I really froze. I was thinking about what I was going to say.
Oh, okay. Because you literally at that time you went social media, but
I'm trying to think about like the chicken and the egg thing.
Right.
Social media lets us know more about it, right? I think the drama was always going on to a degree, but do you think the younger, I don't know if it's the younger generation or what it might be, but do you think that like it's a different group of guys now fishing than maybe in the past? Like a different.
Yes.
And I'm not even dogging like young versus old. I'm saying
no.
Like,
it's all about the gram.
Look at sports. Like old school basketball players and like new school basketball players, like there's a difference. And they agree that there's a difference. And I just wonder if they're more used to the social media and the drama, and then I'll be honest with you, sponsors and them don't really dislike it to a degree. Like they kind of like you being in the middle of, I don't know. I'm just wondering if it's not that frowned upon.
I don't think it is. Because if it was frowned upon, there'd be negativity, and that negativity would deter guys from doing it. And
I don't think there is anyone deterring them.
There's not. There's really not. But I just want to go fishing.
I'm just reading some of this stuff. I mean, but see, because that was a pretty cool video Clark had. I don't know if you've seen it.
I didn't get to see it.
He had I think he was catching bass. They doubled up, and I think when he brought one up, like a freaking 30 or 40 pound catfish came up and was like trying to eat the bass, and like he was like kind of doing figure eights with it, with the bass, and the catfish was like standing on top of the water trying to eat it. It's pretty cool.
Oh, I was just reading Jamie Juice. Jamie Juice. That's his middle name is Juice. Damn, that's pretty cool middle name. Paid to fish as a pro issues their advocacy to have TV and streaming revenue shared with anglers versus the organizations. I guess that's what YouTube is, right? I guess that's what Fishtips is. I guess there's an avenue for it. I guess the organizations have a bigger platform. You agree with that?
About what part of it? About the paid part?
Yeah. He's wondering if there's just streaming where the anglers get paid versus the organizations, I guess it's everybody's own personal platform that they use.
Well, I don't know. I was thinking about maybe I wasn't really thinking of that. I was thinking more of like why pay to fish as a pro. Okay, I was thinking about something else. Um, I don't know. I don't know what to think. I don't. I never think fishing. There is pretty easy. I don't think fishing will ever. There will ever be a pro fishing thing anymore. I think that's going. There will be one, but it won't be. You're not going to get paid to fish. I had a dream one time that was the thing. Like I thought that was a dream. That like you. I always thought that, and I've still said it. Professional fishing. That I always thought that once you made it, you should get paid, right? If you're the top
Well,
100.
what's making it? That's the question.
No. No. When I was young, so top 100, I figured there'd be one league, just like the NBA, NFL, whatever. You made it. You're the top 100 fishermen in the country, and you just like a golfer, and last place check just to show up, you get $10,000, right? And you don't pay to get in it or nothing. Like it would. Our industry is so big that I figured it could handle that, right? That dream died a long time ago. That will never be the case.
Yes.
And I also think
Yes.
that that was for the sport of fishing at the time. That's what I thought we all loved, right? We all loved when we were younger watching it. I don't think that that's the case anymore. And then even but we grew up on sitcoms, right? And
yeah, I grew up on Bassmaster. I grew up on Bassmaster on TNN. That's what I grew up on.
So we grew up on sitcoms, right? And it was actors getting paid to be on sitcoms. And then all of a sudden reality TV jumped in and they're like, wait a minute. So we can have 3 times as many views, don't have to pay actors, and it's all reality TV and it's all this like drama. And people flock to it. Well, I mean, you can't blame the fact that that's what's going to happen with fishing. That they'd rather see the drama than the fishing, and you can't say, hey, you don't like it. Doesn't really matter what we like. That's what it's doing.
I love flipping a 5-pounder out of a bush.
I know.
I love watching. I can tell you that I go back, and I can't tell you how many times I show the Bassmaster show with Blockett sinking his boat to getting under that bridge and flipping those giants in bushes. That gets my heart racing. Denny at the Potomac or at Gunnersville flipping docks, like that gets my heart racing. Biffle running up a creek to where there's no water left over a major stump field. That's what gets me excited about bass fishing. This drama does not get me excited about bass fishing.
I'm gonna get back on this. So I can only laugh at Cookie Cutter Podcast, which
I lost you.
I don't know. I'm just reading what.
Oh, my Bluetooth, I think, disconnected.
So here's the thing. I'm gonna talk about Fishtips for a second. I have all I can say about there's a lot to say about Fishtips, but I will say this about Fishtips. With anything, just like YouTube, there's really good stuff on YouTube and there's really bad stuff on YouTube. And only you can decide on whether or not what's good and what's bad, right? The Fishtips from where I saw it at first, I didn't like. I will say this. Just because I didn't like it because what I saw, not being promoted, but how I saw like, oh, that's a bad look. I don't like the fact that that's where it could go. On the flip side of it, no drama. You can have zero drama. There are guys that would like to learn about fishing. And if like if I make a video about whatever, I like how we get a close up of Ish's half face. And he probably didn't even realize if I got a made a video, like it doesn't really apply to maybe someone way up north that's smallmouth fishing, and so if I did a video that was say based on your lake or your home lake or like something you really wanted to know about, then that fish tips video is worth it for a price. And so that part doesn't bother me because then you can cut out all the drama, all the junk that you don't want to watch on YouTube, and you can actually get something that might actually like help you if it's done that way. That's the only thing I'll say. I'm not saying everyone's gonna. I don't know if anyone's gonna do it that way. I'm just saying it's a possibility if that's the way it could be done the right way, you know. But it's also based on who's going to do it that way.
Right. Hey, I'm gonna log off and log back on because I lost my Bluetooth and I can barely hear you.
Yeah,
so I'll be right back.
I didn't know that many issues existed. Sorry, I'm going to start reading. So this is the thing that I think most guys didn't realize, and this is the part that I actually do like about the YouTube and social media part. I like the fact that some of the stuff that has been going on for years, Clark can, you know, Clark, Ish, everyone can relate to that. Every professional fisherman that is in the know will tell you that stuff like this, and when I don't want to say cheaters, but some are cheaters and some are rule breakers. Some are habitual rule breakers, right? Which is, if you're a habitual rule breaker, you're a borderline cheater. And what I mean by that is like you can mess up on certain things. And what I mean by that is you can mess up on a life jacket here. You can mess up on an accidental run through. You can even fish an off limits, because there are some like wild off limits in some of these places that are like, it would be hard if, say, the tournament director didn't let you know about, you would like have no idea. One of them, I'll just, there's so many examples, but like Table Rock, not knowing that you can't be within. I grew up on a marina on Lake Livingston that I could walk around the marina and fish. Like this was, like, right. I didn't ever know a marina. What do you mean a marina? I grew up on one. I can't fish it. Well, Table Rock, you're not allowed to like fish inside these like imaginary borders around the marina.
Right.
If I'd never been, if no one had ever told me, I'd have gone right up in the marina and started fishing. I'm like, what do you mean? My whole life I've never heard of this. So that's a rule break. Now I go to Table Rock 5 times and they've told me this every time, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to kind of halfway cast in this one. That's different. That's, to me, that's cheating. That's not a rule break. That's kind of intentionally doing it. So, but yeah, these things went on. And how many stories Ish do you have? Because I've got a bunch too, where people would be amazed, and we can't really talk about them. We can't talk about them because they didn't get in trouble. And that's the problem. So you could say this happened. We all know it happened. We all witnessed it happen. We said something to the term. They didn't do anything about it. And so now it puts us like out here going, well, wait, we just saw that was wrong. Y'all didn't do anything. And now we can't say anything because then we kind of call out the person who did it. And then they're sitting there kind of like libel and slander, because it's like, hey, you get in trouble for saying it, even though we all know it happened.
Do you know, do you see Andrew? I can picture Andrew sitting there right now going, Ish, here's your chance. On Todd's show. Don't do it on Pros Pick'em, but do it on Todd's show. Yeah. And Andrew you see him, he's just going like, oh. And I'm laughing because, Andrew, I'm not going to do that to Todd.
No. Do you know how many times Andrew did it to me the other day? It was a really good one. He called me up and he was like, hey, man, I got an idea for you. And I'm like, nope. He said, no. It's going to go viral. It's going to be great. I'm like, no, then you do it. He said, I can't pull it off, but you can. And I was like, dude, I don't like, no. And then he told me, and I was like, oh, okay, that's actually pretty good.
What was it?
I think I'm, huh?
What is it?
Oh, I'm not
We
saying
talk about it off
Oh
record.
yeah, I'll tell you.
We can
I'll
talk
tell
about it off
you.
record.
It's actually really, really good. I think I'm gonna.
Okay.
It's gonna be a little work, but I might do it. I
Okay.
don't think I'm gonna get in trouble for it. I don't. I've
You,
kind of
you
thought.
don't think? Hey,
No,
if you don't think you're going to get in trouble, then it's not really that good. If you
well,
think you're going to get in trouble, then it's going to be good, obviously.
listen. Comedian. It's all Comedians are great because comedians can you can make
Yes.
something that's controversial and make it funny, and it works. I
And
wouldn't say
people will be mad, but they laugh and then they
right.
go on.
Well, no one watching this from an outsider point of view would be mad at what I'm about to do. Zero.
Okay.
It's going to be 100%. Everyone's like, that's good. The only people is
Oh.
like that I might like maybe an organization might be like, come on. But it won't be like mad. It won't be like mad, but it is pretty good. I might do it.
That's funny. That is funny. They won't be mad, but
Well, they might be like, okay, what if they have any slight sense of humor? Apparently,
they don't. Todd, they don't. We know this. They don't.
Yes.
They do not.
Apparently, satire and some of these things they do not find. Well, depends on where you're at in the organization. I'll put it to you this way. I've made some videos, some funny ones, whatever. And there are certain guys in certain organizations that say, dude, Todd, I love them. I watch all of them. Right. Don't bother them a bit. I don't know how like the top guy feels. But, but the guys working for him are like, yeah, I ain't got a problem with that. That's awesome.
That was funny. I mean, that was good. I see that happening.
What is that?
Oh man.
What I'm so far backed up on the comments. I'd rather see Randy doing sketchy stuff or some kid anglers crushing martins. I don't know.
I don't get that. And Randy didn't do anything sketchy when he went under the bridge. Everything that Randy did at that time was legal. You could flood your boat. Huh?
What are you talking about?
He thought I'd rather see Randy doing sketchy stuff versus some. He's probably talking about Block It because I brought up Block It when he basically he pulled the drain plug on his boat to go underneath a bridge and flipping like
sketchy?
No, not at all. Absolutely not sketchy.
I don't consider that sketchy at all.
No, that's what I'm saying. Is what he did. What he did was 100% in the rules.
Yeah,
and there was nothing wrong, and nothing wrong with that. He just outthought everybody. He needed to get 3 inches to get underneath this bridge, and he took the gamble of filling his boat, and it worked out for him. Trust me, I've taken windshields off. I put trolling motors down, taking my cowling off to getting into areas.
Man, I'm going to do a real fast. You want to do a breakdown real fast of like comments real quick? I'm just going to, there's a bunch of them. And I don't.
Okay.
So like this one, like I said about Fishtips, if it's done the wrong way or the right way, it can be good. It's just it's just how they do it and how they control it. And so, like I said, if I do fish tips or if I've done one and I have done one, that's not there. Like I said, so if I did one, if I've done one and I'm doing one, if you watch it, it's one, I will never, ever do a fish tips without me actually catching fish off the areas. You can watch all of them get caught, and I'm doing it right then and there. Like it's all there. So like I will never, and most of the time it probably won't even, I don't know if I'll do waypoints. I don't like, that's not how I do things anyways. So
me and you have this personality that we won't do what I call something unethical. We won't go and drive
and drive around and look at people and, oh, I'm going to give up that spot on Fishtips. Well, no, you don't even know if that spot's legitimate spot to catch fish.
Right.
And
And
people,
spots are there, especially on Rayburn, but most lakes I go to, spots like you pull up and you know darn well that a spot could be firing one day and not the next, or right timing or
right.
whatever. And so to me, that to me is not good. Like you will be highly disappointed. Talk to guides, people that guide fishing guides and stuff. Dude, I couldn't tell you how many times you could go take a guy out there and then the next day they go out there and they're like, I didn't catch anything. And I'm
Right.
like, yeah, I know, like some things changed. So a fishing tip should be more about learning about the fishing than the actual waypoint. I'm not talking about Clark. Like, I agree with what Clark's saying. So what I'm saying is this, Clark, you are right. Nothing's stopping anyone from doing that. The thing about that is hopefully that guy will be vetted off there. And then anyone doing this, it's like anything else. It's like, hey man, those guys are going to get labeled as, hey, these are people we never want to buy a tip from ever again.
Right.
And this guy's
100%.
putting out solid tips. I think those guys would be weeded out. And so that's the way I look at like anything. Like guys what's stopping guys from making YouTube podcasts on fishing and everything? Well, nothing. Difference is after 6 months, they're like, man, I've made all these videos and I get, 19 views. Well, that's a pretty good indicator of
nobody's trusting what you're saying, because they know that you're not legitimate. They know that you're BSing. They know that you're stealing other people's. It gets around fast when you're sitting there driving around the lake, giving up somebody else's juice. And even then, you can't explain that juice because you don't even know what the spot entails. You don't know if there's a single stump on that spot or a rock pile or a channel or a standing tree or whatever it may be that you can explain to people on how the fish are being caught. Because the guy could roll up there and be like, oh, well, he gave me this waypoint, but I don't even know what to make a cast to. Yeah, then you become not legitimate.
And I think Fishtips I think the guys from what, are doing a way better job of vetting this.
The people that they have actually on Fishtips. Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I don't think it started that way, but I think it's getting more, and I think it will get if they're smart, and I hope because I want all that, because like I said, there's a part of me that looks at Fishtips, and I can't believe I'm saying this, and I'm not saying Fishtips in it's the exact thing, but it's kind of like what I was talking about, like sitcoms. Like sitcoms were on regular cable, and then cable, like Blockbuster has gone away, right? And now it's all streaming. And now you got Hulu and Netflix and all these different things. And it's like, if someone wanted the drama, like right now, it looks like YouTube's more for drama. And Fishtips and maybe platforms like that are going to go more for actual fishing stuff. And and then there's like, no one's going to get on Fishtips and start talking like, and get into comments and drama and all that stuff.
Right.
That doesn't happen. It's kind of nice that you
refreshing. It's very refreshing.
You don't have to deal with all the other the stuff,
Yeah. Here's your info. Here's your learning curve. Here's the teaching that, once again, I can honestly tell you that I watched Bassmasters back in the 80s and 90s, and even so much into the 2000s, was the education it gave. That pros pointer that they used to have at the end of the show was practically invaluable, from the simplest thing of how a guy trims his jig skirt to, what trailer he used on a spinnerbait, to the size line he used for certain applications. I mean, that's what bass fishing to me is, what got me into it. The drama, I'm good.
Do you how much elite stuff do you watch now?
Honestly, very little.
Very little. So, and there's two things to that. One is this. I'll explain. So I was with you on why I watched all that. It was the only way you could watch someone else. Of course, now I guess you can watch YouTube, you can watch them, you can watch anything you want to, right?
Right.
So it's not as important for me to watch the elites. As I got older, like I'm not watching a guy throw a spinnerbait and probably learning anything from a standpoint of, like, if I watch Jason Christie throw a spinnerbait, he's way better at it than me. I would love to learn about it, but I can't learn it from watching him. I would have to talk to Jason about it.
Right. Because you have questions.
Oh yeah. But me just simply watching him, I'm not going to learn anything else. Right. But
right.
Like, because I've done it. I've seen, and that's not a knock. I'm just saying, like, I know how to throw a spinnerbait. I know how to do most of these techniques. I don't watch him. I don't watch any of that stuff anymore. I started watching it at that point in time when you kind of know the technique stuff. You start watching on, in my opinion, I started watching on, man, I can't believe he's doing that. I wouldn't have done that. Like I would have done this, not that. And then every once in a while, I'll see a guy do something. I'm like, oh yeah, I sure wouldn't. I never would have even done that at that water temp, at whatever. And so that stuff intrigued me, right? And I don't care if he's in like 20th place. I'd have been like, if you'd have bet me, I'd have been like, no way I could catch a fish doing that. And he did. So that, or like, why did he choose that watercolor? Like he could have gone, look at these other guys fishing, and he chose that watercolor, right? Like, now, this is the problem. Now, and I'm not knocking live scope, but when you see, like, you get on some of these events and like all of them are doing the same thing, I'm like, oh yeah, I already know that, and you didn't make a decision. So those other guys found an area. I don't know what technique they're about to do. There's 1,000 techniques to choose from, and now all of a sudden, why are they doing it there? I can't believe that, and they're making adjustments on the water. That's how it used to be, and I found that intriguing. Like now it's like, and I've said this in some videos, and I'm not knocking it because this is the way to, like, they're winning doing this, but it's like, we're just going to go out there and live scope and throw some type of minnow style bait out there. And well, I mean, this isn't a knock. I'm not knocking this. I'm saying, like, dude, if you do this, if you want to win tournaments, I'm saying this is but to me, I'm not watching because I'm like, there's no decision making, really. There's not a lot of like thought process behind it in the sense of going, this is just what you go do. Sunny, cloudy, same lake, they're all doing it. And you can
Todd, here's $1 million question for you.
Like, hold on, I'll say this for you. Hold on, if you go to Clear Lake, and I don't know what Clear Lake's like, maybe the California Delta, and they're doing something, and then you're flipping, and no one else is flipping. I am so intrigued to see if you're, and I don't care if I know you've ever spoke to you before, but you made a top 10, you're in the top 10, and everyone else is doing whatever, and I'm like, man, can this guy flip and pull it out? Like I'm intrigued by that, right? Or is this guy frogging? Can he beat all these guys flipping and he's frogging? Here it's like, can this live scoper on a minnow beat this other guy on a live minnow? You see what I'm saying?
Here's the question. Here's the question, Todd. If we have the top 10 and there's 2 guys throwing a minnow, just 2, and there's 8 guys doing something else, do you think that the tournament would be won on the minnow?
This is my whole Bradley Holman conversation about flipping and Carolina rigging on Rayburn. I've had this argument with
okay. It's not an argument. It's a question because I'm curious to know that if there's only 2, if there's only 2 out of the 10 doing that, and there's 8 guys doing something else, how's the tournament going to be won?
Okay, so Holman used to come down to Rayburn. I've said this multiple times. Holman used to come down to Rayburn, right? What does Holman like to do? Flip.
Yep.
Water's up in the bushes in the springtime. right? February, March, whatever, didn't matter.
Yeah.
February, March, April, doesn't matter. March, questionable. It probably won't be one this way. But they're flipping, right? Because we won some tournaments in March, and you know, we were
Right.
So,
yeah.
Right.
So,
he like Holman comes down, he's like, oh, I get to see 5 million bushes to go flip at. This is gonna be great. I'm getting all these bites a day, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you gonna flip? I'm like, no. And he was like, and then Russell's over there like, Russell, you ain't flipping? Russell's like, nope. Right. Now we're few and far between, right?
Right.
And Holman, I was like, Holman, one of these days you'll come down here and you're not gonna go. I know you can catch them, but you're not gonna win flipping. And then top 10 rolls around. And there's 8 guys all flipping in the top 10. And then 2 other guys aren't flipping. They're rigging. They're Carolina rigging.
Right.
And one of them's probably leading it. And Holman's like, look, Todd. I'm like, watch who wins it. Watch who wins it. And then sure enough, Carolina rigger wins it every time. Right. And he's like, yeah, I know. But look, Todd. I'm like, I know. But Holman, flipping was easy. About 100 and something guys went flipping. There was about 8 guys that went Carolina rigging. 2 of the 8 are in the top 10. If you'd have flipped that, if you made all those guys go out and throw a Carolina rig, the entire top 10 would have been Carolina rigs. Now, a lot of them would have zeroed because they wouldn't have ever found them because it's harder to find them. It's not as easy fishing. But I said it would have been all top 10 guys up there. I said, it's just a lot of top 10 guys because it was an easier way to catch them and they didn't want to like, you know, hero or zero. So it's kind of what you're asking me. How would it play out with those 2 if they'd have done something else? What if all those guys had gone out there and done a minnow? I don't know. I don't know how it plays out.
And that's what my question is because there's so many guys throwing a minnow. That's why this is all we see now.
But I think it's because but I'll be honest with you, man. The more I fish some of these lakes, I've got a place over here, a lake that I've been fishing a lot. I've been putting videos out there. I'm shocked every time I go to the lake that of as many videos as I put, no one's up there doing it. I just go out there and freaking smash on them. And yet it's still a lot easier to go out there and catch them live scoping. Now, right now I can't catch as big a bag, but I can go catch 50 doing the live scoping. But man, I think it's hard for those guys to go catch them in the grass like I am. It's easy to me, but I'm used to it. And I'm just saying that, like, I don't know. I think that they're like, man, that's a lot of hard work to find that stuff when I can just kind of go out here and do this. So you might be right about that. That I don't know. It's easy. It's easier-ish.
Yeah, I get it. I'm just wondering. I'm just scroll to some of these.
How about this, Ish? Here's the problem. If you go out to Rayburn, right? So I had to go find fish on Rayburn, like cranking around or throwing a Carolina rig like all day long, forever, for hours on end, wondering if I'm going to get a bite, like not knowing what the bottom looked like, not knowing if anything's down there, whatever. Like I found all my stuff by actual catching a fish, like not side imaging, none of that stuff, like going around and fishing for them until I caught them. I don't know if I can do that anymore because I can look down there and go, there's nothing down there. I'm not making a cast.
Yeah, but once again, this you go do that, and then you do it's like one of the guys asked about you in a hybrid Hutter fishing tip. People want to see that. And
I know.
And like I said, you've talked about it. Even though we go out there and we fish a frog and we go get 30 blowups on a frog. Yeah, there's going to be some people that want to watch that. There's people get excited about that. Are you going to get the same amount of views on throwing a minnow?
Do I what?
Will you get the same amount of views throwing a minnow?
Not throwing a minnow. No, not throwing a minnow. I think throwing a minnow is about as like I can go crappie fishing anytime I want to. That's what it is. It's crappie fishing. I think they're more interested in learning like I don't care what here's the thing. I don't care what comes up on, and I'm never going to say his name. He can have as many videos as he wants to knocking live scope. Everyone can. Everyone can say,
Right.
I don't. I could say I hate live scope more than anyone else. I don't. I'm just saying I could. All I'm going to tell you is this. If I put out something about live scope, about learning how to use it, settings, anything like that, dude, it's not that it will be gradually that video gets an insane amount of views every single day. Because
so you're saying is
everyone
the
still
setup,
wants to know.
but that's still the education.
True,
so
100%. Because they
so the education,
man, they're all. I make a joke that like everyone would be a closet live scoper in the fact of they can say they don't like it, but when you go out there and you go catch 50 a day doing it, and forget how you're catching them. You're catching 50 fish a day. No one comes in after catching 50 fish a day and like, that wasn't fun. I don't like that. And I'm like,
I can honestly, I will tell you, I come back and I go, my neck hurts and my back hurts from staring down the whole time.
But
and
if you caught 3 9-pounders, all I'm saying is no one gets upset about catching fish. They might not like it. They might not like it in a tournament. They might not like watching it. What I'm saying is when it all barrels down to, we still like, do you like catching fish on a minnow in a cork and watch that cork go under?
Oh, I love catching them on a floating fly. I love catching them on a floating fly.
We started this entire conversation off about like just like me going down to the coast and just catching whatever freaking hook eats, right? I'm just saying people like catching fish. Some of us actually like the fishing part of it, but most people like catching.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
I'm sorry, this guy. Actually, he's wrong, so but it's just funny. He goes, Christy can scope like a 3-legged dog can run. Jason is a actual very good forward-facing sonar angler because he's learned to adapt to it.
What they see, you got to realize these are still the top 100 guys. Like that's like saying that these guys that crankbait fish and got beat by Kevin all them years are like, that guy's not that good of a crankbait fisherman. And I'm like, yeah, he was going up against Kevin. Like, good luck. It's just like if they went spinnerbait fishing against Christy all day long, like guys could throw a spinnerbait, but they might not beat Christy, right? I mean,
right.
Like they don't realize they're catching a good bag. Like Christy goes out there to smallmouth, like catches 22 pounds and is in 80th place.
Right.
Right. And you're like, that guy didn't know how to scope. I'm like, go out there and try to catch 22 pounds. See what happens. You know, like he can scope. It's just these guys on the elites are there for a reason.
Yeah. No. Yes, I've used forward-facing sonar offshore. People fail to realize that there's some stuff offshore that is way, way, way better than what people see with forward-facing sonar. There's what I call, it's called 360 technology that a lot of these guys are using. It's a completely different than what you think. And dude, these guys can see 1,000 yards out the schools of tuna, the schools of bait. And if they can implement that into bass fishing, yeah, it would be you'd be able to pull in a pocket, scan the whole pocket, know exactly where every bass is, and go catch them. So, but yes, saltwater fishing, we've used it.
And I will say, as much as I can go either way with scoping. I've been very honest, and I will say this: my opinion on scoping will probably change in the next year. When I say change, it might like tweak, right? What I'll say about it in tournaments is this: if they did away with it in tournaments, it wouldn't upset me. The problem with it now is it's so far past gone. I don't know how you like.
I don't want to see it go away. I don't, forward facing sonar to me is a tool. I'm not against it. I'm not 100% for it. I love the fact is I get to go fishing and have fun and still personally compete in these tournaments. No, I did not win a tournament this year, which is the first year I haven't won, whether it's a team tournament or a club tournament. My team partner won a tournament without me. He caught a 9 pound. He caught a 9 pounder on a drop shot, which helps. But I love the fact of having the bank back to myself. I love the fact of flipping mats and knowing that no one's flipped them. I love seeing a lay down tree in the water and throwing a top water over it. I'm for it. And then there are the times where I break out, the active target and go do what I need to do with a jerk bait or a freaking, missile bait spunk shad.
I did a video the other day about like it is like the stubborn thing. It's not. It's not stubborn. I made this same video. It was about Wheeler. That it was literally on Lake. Oh, maybe I did it for my private channel. I can't remember. Maybe I can't remember what it did. But all I'm gonna say is when I went, like I see Wheeler. When I went to Wheeler, and I'm like, okay, I don't know much about Wheeler. I just realized there was going to be grass there and everything. And this was my point too. This is why I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of scoping and not a fan of it. And it's not really the part that I don't like. There's nothing I don't like about it. It's the mentality part is that if I go down there, I went to Wheeler going, man, I think there's grass. And so I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm going to catch some topwater fishing, throwing in the grass. I'm going to do this. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try all these different things. And I made this video saying it takes a lot for me to say I might be wrong, but I might be wrong in thinking that way. And if I was smart for right now in this day and age, or like today, if I was to go back to Wheeler, and I already knew to go do this, I just didn't want to. And it's not stubborn. It's that it's hard. The guys won a classic. I don't know how many tournaments Jason Christie's won. I don't know. Like he's made his entire career fishing a certain way. I kind of have two. You have two ish. Imagine going to like the best frogging place in the world, right? And go, okay, I could go frog. Kind of a good chance now that scoping's it might win, and this is where to go do it. I got to go find him on a frog. I might not be able to. I can't cover all the water I need to in the short amount of time, all this stuff. And I already know where to go scope. It's right down there at the bottom. Like, and I can start seeing fish you go start scoping on Wheeler. Within less than 5 minutes, you're going to see a fish to throw at. You can go frogging on some of these places and go 8 hours without a bite. Right. So I went down there with all this, like, I got to go through these steps of how we would go in a tournament. And I made a comment, and I don't know if I made anyone mad, and I don't really care, but it was kind of like that no thought process, right? It's like, well, I don't know how to go catch a fish on a frog. I don't know how to go throw in the grass. I've never had to go do any of this. I'm 21, 22, 23 years old. I've scoped my whole life. I've never caught one on a swim jig. I don't know anything about that. But if I just go down to the bottom end of the lake or the top end, however you want to say it, and in the clear water, and I'm just going to go scope for 4 days. And I'm probably going to do really good. And if that's the mentality to go down there and fish Wheeler, where I or you might go, well, I got to go through the process of what is made, like, because that's everyone had to do that process. We all had to do that same process. The only thing is, in me and you are sight fishermen. When we sight fish, there's a process in sight fishing that we probably know better than everyone else. But when we go to one of those lakes, there's not this like, well, I wonder if they're going to be doing this. I mean, let's be honest. When you go sight fishing, right? What if me and you got to sight fish 12 months out of the year? Did we just be kicked like this, right?
Yeah.
And so in every tournament would be the most not stress-free, but it would be like, hey, did you prepare for this event? Nope.
Got my coasters and my big stick.
Just point me where the boat ramp is. I'll be fine. Give me 3 days. No problem. I'll find him. This like what do you? There's no rods on your deck. Don't need one. I'm good.
Right.
I'm good. This is what I'm going to go do,
Right.
and I'll be okay. And if I zero, that's fine. But we don't zero when we go sight fishing. And
No.
so that's the mentality. And I'm not knocking it. Like I literally said on my video, and I sound like an idiot talking about how I'm going to do this other stuff. When in all reality, I probably should do this, but it's not stubbornness. It's the fact of like, it's hard to give up what you've done for 20, 25, 30 years. Because there's an ego down there that's like, I can still beat these guys doing this other thing. You know?
Yeah. We tried to make it work at Ouachita. I almost made it work at Ouachita.
Dude, you can win a 4-day derby sight fishing, please. That's my point. Guys that know sight fishing understand this, that you can win a 4-day derby, no problem, sight fishing.
Yes. But question is that what forward facing sonar is now? Sight fishing.
Yeah, it is. 100% it is.
And it's just different baits than we're used to normal sight fishing. It's a different bait.
I'm just reading.
I'll read, yeah.
Hold on, just what? I can't force to leave and not throw my entire raw liquor. I can't force to leave and not. Oh, see, like I think he's talking about like leave fish that are there. Like that don't bother me at all. Leaving fish
me too.
on scope, that's not. It's not about leaving them because like I've rarely seen I've almost one time on Toledo and Table Rock got a little hard where it was hard to catch fish. I'm not saying that there's 50 fish, you can catch all 50, but usually it's not hard to figure out how to. Rarely is it ever hard. Like on Rayburn, I've never found fish on Rayburn and not been able to catch some scoping ever. I've never not been able, like, now I'm not talking about one fish. I'm talking about multiple ones, but yeah, usually it's always about finding them. Catching them is not really that hard on scope, in my opinion. There's times, but very, very, very few times, in my opinion. That's just me.
Early 2000s golden age, yeah.
Where are you at? I don't know where you're at.
I'm still way down. I'm catching up. My thing always resets me. I still have no marinas.
Well, here, you go to that one. You reading this one? Read the one on the screen. Are you reading the one on the screen?
Yeah. How did I get caught up? How did I not get caught up in the early finesse fishing game? Because people's misconception of California is that what?
I want to hear about this.
The misconception is that it's all these deep, clear lakes. Well, I grew up on the Delta. I grew up on Clear Lake. I grew up around guys like Dave Glebe and D. Thomas and Gary Klein, who, once again, these dudes lived with the flipping stick in their hand. You know, D. Thomas invented flipping. Dave Glebe took it to the next level. And, you know, Gary Klein learned from D. And that's how Gary was so successful in the early ages of bass fishing, was he learned from the best. And so for me, I was around those guys. You had guys like Gary Dobbins who threw jerk baits the whole time. Bobby Barrick who frogged fish. You know, Mark Ritz and Mark Tyler who were jig fishermen. So it wasn't very hard to not be a power fisherman because I was surrounded by all those guys. Robert Lee, you know, he's up there flipping big zipper worms and big tubes, you know, catching giant bass. Like, these are the guys I grew up around. So that's why it was like, oh, I want to be like these guys. I want to be like D. I want to be like freaking Bobby. because that's how they were winning tournaments. Bobby has probably won more team tournaments than probably anybody that I know. I mean, we're talking thousands probably of team tournaments that he's won. And a lot of those were on the Delta and Clear Lake fishing a frog. And he was probably the best at it, and he understood it. And so, yeah, I mean, and then talking to these guys, I mean, Dave Levy was one of the only guys who ever would talk to me at a tournament when I first started fishing tournaments. And, you know, I would nitpick. And then when I first got on the Bassmaster Elite Series, the first person I got to go eat with was Denny Brower. You know, like those are the guys. So yeah, I'm not a finesse fisherman at all, because those guys were the guys winning tournaments. Those were the guys making money. The finesse fishermen, they were doing okay, but they weren't the guys who were winning constantly around me.
Rayburn, there's probably more tournaments now being won on a spinning rod, and I mean, I made that bet with Panger when they fished the Open down there. I'm like, dude, I've never had to throw a spinning rod to win on Rayburn. That was before LiveScope, and it was true.
Yeah,
100% true. And there was a reason that for 30 years that was never how you were ever going to win an event, and now that, I mean, that's all changed, and there's nothing wrong with it, but that, like, that we didn't need, you know, it was kind of like that whole deal about flipping bushes in Carolina rigging. It was like, I knew how to flip bushes. I also knew I couldn't really, like, you could win, but the likelihood of it wasn't right. Like, I could win Carolina rigging and find it was way harder to find one. I go hours, days without a bite until you find the school that you needed. And I'm not even talking about deep. I'm not talking about like deep Carolina rigging. I'm talking about shallow Carolina rigging, right? And so
yeah,
it was, but it was harder to do that. And so even when, like, we look at sight fishing and frogging and things that we do, just because we were power fishing, they weren't easy to, like, it was hard to win a tournament to a degree, but we knew that was a great way to go do it. And I just think, like you said, I didn't need to finesse fish. I didn't go out there and go, I'm trying to figure out how to get a bite. I wasn't trying to figure out how to get a bite on a frog or throwing a hybrid hunter around or a swim jig around. I knew how to get a bite doing it. I just had to find the fish to do it. Right. So, like, kind of like you weren't trying to go figure out the spinning rod. I just had to go figure out where my technique was going to work.
right. Yeah.
And so, and kind of like sight fishing, we always made it the point of your best day fishing against my average day sight fishing, I'm going to beat you. Does that make right?
Your best day fishing, yes, 100%.
So it's like,
yeah.
I don't really have to go do the other. I'm going to go do this. And
yes,
I'll be honest with you. I think that's how some of these scopers are. And they have every right to be that. And, like, I say, these scopers, there's guys out there that aren't doing anything else. And so I went yesterday and scoped almost the whole time on Rayburn, right? Almost the whole time, not the whole time. But because I'm trying to get better at it all the time. I don't need to go throw certain things around because I already know how to do that, right? So I'm still learning. I'll be 20 years from now, if scope's still around, I'll still be doing that, learning more about scoping. That's just human nature of how I, like, want to learn. But I just think some of these guys that do nothing but scoping, right? I mean, they're sitting there thinking the same thing, like, hey, my bad day is still probably better than your really good day.
Yeah.
And they're right. Like, some of them guys are really good. You can't lie. It's true. Like, there's proof in what they're doing. And
I
like it or
still
not like it, but I'm just telling you a fact, right? You agree with me?
yes.
Yeah.
So now the question is, if there weren't scopers, would I have won the points race in the Opens this year?
Well, yeah, if there weren't scopers, would I have won Gunnersville in Alabama at the Toyota Championship?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're like I said, I haven't changed. I have not changed my tune on live scope. I can go out there and live scope, and it is a blast. I love it. I enjoy fishing with it at times. Like I've learned more about fishing rape. I'll put it to you this way: if nothing else, on my really, really local lakes, like the lakes that I've been fishing for 20 years. So I'm just going to throw Rayburn in there. Unless there's a frog bite or good grass or certain things, I hate fishing Rayburn. I never want to go to Rayburn. I've side imaged, I've looked, I've made casts, I've done all these things. It is a nightmare trying to find winning stuff on Rayburn. It's not fun. It's boring. It makes me not want to fish. It's not enjoyable at all. To go try to win a tournament, right? And since tournaments go on almost year round, you can't just go out there and have fun on Rayburn. That's not where I'm a tournament guy. Live scope has made Rayburn so much more. I can go out to Rayburn every day and learn. And it felt like for years I was just going out there to Rayburn doing the same thing, and I couldn't. Like I'm like, if I learn one new thing this year, I learned something. A year. I felt like there was a year or two would go by where I never learned a single thing. I learned probably yesterday alone. I probably learned 10 to 15 new things, guaranteed. 10 to 15. So, and I learn that every day I go. So that's my thing is I think live scope's awesome about that. However, you just asked me, like, would I have won points? You know, you said, would I have won you? And would I have won these other ones? From a pocketbook or like finishing standpoint, if they took it away, we'd be freaking, it would do, I would make twice as much money in tournaments. So like I'm still torn about the fact of like I enjoyed fishing yesterday and it was phenomenal and I loved it, right? But if you had tournaments, yeah, I think I'd win a lot more money if guys couldn't use it. And there's no reason I can't say that, no reason you can't, because for 30 something years we have been doing this and making a good living doing what we've done. Our proof is that we've done this. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying.
No, because I'm just looking
like
at
Jason
it.
Christie. If you ask, I don't like. And guys, don't fall into the trolls like Dale Ribbler. He's dude. If he's knocking on me, he's also knocking on like the top 5 best fishermen of all time.
Is he the one who said? Is he the one who said that you have more 6-pound fluoro than all of Japan?
No.
That was funny. I was laughing about that one.
No, this guy gets on here and all he does is start like he doesn't bother me. Like he's a
buddy of yours.
No, I have no idea who he is. But I mean, if he was over there saying that he was dogging Jason Christie, he's a loser. So, anyways, but yeah, I just don't like it's Jason Christie would win way more money too if you took out scoping. He might be phenomenal at it, right? But you can't knock the fact that that's true.
Well, I got to get some work done.
Oh, you're calling it quits early.
I have to. It's funny. I've actually got emails about 2 contracts today as we were sitting here. I'm curious on reading them because hopefully I'm wrong about the state of the industry and my contracts are either better or the same. But I'm curious. I got the curiosity thing going on now.
We talked about the drama. I don't know how we never even got into it.
No, because there's so much other stuff, and I think we were better off just talking about fun stuff, and people appreciate that about us. That we just, we might be talking about something, and then we talk about something else, but we always keep it cool. We always keep it about the fishing and the education and the fun stuff. And I think that's what people come here for, the enjoyment of. The fact is that we're not always just bitching. I look at a lot of these podcasts and I mean, that's all they do is they complain and complain and complain. And, they stir up drama and that's all they want to talk about instead of just talking about fishing. and we
Oh,
still will talk about just fishing.
hey, so me and Andrew did this because like I haven't done one of these in a while, you know. Um, I did one with Andrew last week, and I just real quick, we got in on the end of this thing, and when it started, you want to talk about going off the rails? It went off the rails so quick, but it started. It got up with Matt Airy. I don't know if you know. I want to see if you know about this.
Okay.
I don't want to get into this long thing, but it got into the Matt Airy. Someone brought up the fact that Matt Airy was like a top 15 pickleball like guy
Really?
in the country or something, ranked.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Did
know.
not know this.
Yeah, no. So it went off the rails big time, and we started going like, all right, because I kind of made a comparison in the fact of like a lot of the older guys, um, a lot of the older guys like Edwin Evers played football. Like I mean, we went into like all these guys that like played college ball, D1
Right.
stuff, and it was like the older guys, like all of us seemed to play sports growing
Yes.
up, and then we fished as well, and then fishing kind of took over. And I'm like, man, the young guys, I'm not, I don't want to put everyone in a thing,
I
but
know where this is going.
I don't think they played sports, right? They were all like
Right.
just fishing. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, like, but we didn't have that in
Right.
high school, right?
Right.
So I was like the dynamic has changed of
Yeah.
whatever. And so we started talking about, then it got into like, man, y'all, we need to have like this athletic competition, like who's the best athlete in the industry of fishing. And like it got off the rails real fun. It was actually one of the funniest things. Like I was like, oh, we're gonna get in trouble for this because
Mm-hmm.
people started bringing up. It wasn't bad. It was just people started bringing up certain things about who could like play what sport and all this stuff. But yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, I get it. Yes, we do get off the rails at times, but we keep it on the rails, and like I said, people just enjoy. So you need anything else? Holler at me. I'll be getting back with you. Yeah, find all those fish at Rayburn so I can have a great story to tell. And I can post Todd put me on the fish at Rayburn and I beat everybody. Thanks, Todd. And then we'll have that'll be a whole drama issue is Todd was out there practicing during off limits for ish. And
You're right, because I was trying to get Russell in a tournament this weekend, maybe.
right.
I've got
You have all this time to go practice for me, man. Come on now.
in my Bass Champs tournament, possibly a BFL. Oh, and my Toyota
Yeah,
and
don't forget anybody in that. Yeah.
XCT. Yeah, but I'm sure someone's like, yeah, Todd's practicing for him. I'm like, or my other 4 or 5 tournaments I want to.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you're just the next freaking 60 days. You're only gonna go practice Rayburn just for me.
Yeah, this is where it got off the rails quick.
Yes, very quick.
You see that?
Wait, was eat a stripper ass ish?
See?
That is Skeet's personal business that I am not. But what do they say? Without the written express consent from the secretary, I cannot divulge any of the information.
It went from athletics to all this, and then into like extra strength, like what people did on their off time. And I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
That. I'm
and once again, without the express written consent of the secretary, I could not divulge any of that information. So
I don't know if Clark is like, when does your daughter compete in fishing? I'm about 99.9% sure neither my son or daughter will probably ever fish ever, like any of that stuff. Of course, my daughter's also like just is on the last cut to make the national team for her club in soccer. So,
boom.
Yeah,
there you go. Soccer dad.
Yeah. Oh, man, I'll go watch her play soccer all day long before a tournament.
Do you roll a minivan?
No.
Okay, I had to ask. I mean, you're being a soccer dad. You might have the white minivan with the push button door.
No. Now we have the big. We have a Suburban, but it's the big like.
That's the pimp status soccer dad mobile.
Yeah, it's a 4-wheel drive like legit subvert. You know,
Yeah,
it's
that's
not
what
the
I'm saying. That's the pimp. That's the pimp version of the soccer dad mobile.
That's close. Yeah.
Because you do have to push button door, don't you, in the back?
Yeah, but I
The
think all
tailgate.
of them have it now too. They got
He's
that
not,
on trucks though.
they all of them have
They
it.
got that on the
He's trying
trucks
to
though too.
justify it. He's justifying it. All of them have it now.
All of them have it now.
All right, I'll catch up with you, Todd. You need anything, holler at me.
All right, man.
Later.